Hello BYU Cougar fans, welcome to the Blue Cougar Football post-game podcast for BYU versus University of Utah. And I'm probably feeling just as bad as all of you guys. That was a terrible game, 20-13, and it didn't even feel that close though. I'm sure we had chances there at the end to tie it up, put it into overtime, and then you never know what's going to happen. But you know, it didn't even feel that close, and you know why. I mean, we had to score a touchdown there kind of late in the fourth quarter just to get a chance, and even after that, you just didn't feel like very confident that the offense would score a touchdown, and they didn't. So as much as you wanted to believe and have that miracle bowl, Jim McMahon spirit going, Royal Blues, their magic, and everything, just not much confidence. Even when Cody Hoffman caught those back-to-back passes and looked like we finally had some rhythm there, then the drive stalled, and that's exactly what's going on. So it's just really tough because this year, well, it wasn't a totally clean game, which is, I think, is what's bothering everybody still. On top of losing to Utah 4 years in a row, I just wish it were a clean game. To really feel that we did all that we could, and sadly enough, it was just a better team that beat us. But the referees influenced the outcome of the game. I don't know why they didn't call a pass interference on that last play. How do you not? The ball's in the air, headed towards an intended receiver, and the Utah player just smashes him flat. And the ball hits the BYU guy right in the legs when it does get there. How on earth do you not call that a pass interference? And how on earth can anybody, BYU or Ute fan or neutral college football fan, not feel that was pass interference and that the ref shouldn't have called that? On Twitter yesterday with @DogandDeuce, perhaps you're familiar with them, they told me it was a good no call. I've never heard such a thing, a good no call. Maybe if it happened on the other side of the field away from the throw, okay, yeah, we don't need to call that. But you have to call that. I don't care if it's the last play of the game. I don't believe in this you got to let the players play thing. All right, so why weren't the BYU players, the offensive line, just tackling the defensive linemen, pulling them down by their face mask on every play? Sure, we could say, well, it would be a good no call in that situation. That was not a good no call. It should have been called, just like last year when they called that storming the field when the play wasn't over yet. And that's a better one to defend as saying, well, it should have been a no call, would have been a good no call. Because, yeah, I don't see how everybody storming from the opposite side of the field actually influenced Falslev getting tackled there, trying to pick up that blocked field goal. But they did call it because it's the right thing to do. And you don't let players blatantly break the rules so that they can preserve a win. But it wasn't just that play. Early in the game, Utah defensive back did the same thing to Cody Hoffman. Just knocked him flat. He's running his route, and the guy just knocks him flat. So Hoffman didn't have time, wasn't able to go make a play on the ball that was thrown. That was early in the first quarter, on a third down, if I'm not mistaken, and that could have changed the game. Keep the drive alive, and maybe BYU gets some rhythm going, get some points early on, instead of not getting anything until the third quarter. So again, it wasn't like the defender was running with him on that one against Hoffman. He saw Hoffman coming across the zone there, and so he knocked him flat. So I don't get it. I really want a clean game. That's my only wish of what could be different. I'm sick and tired of these Pac-12 refs and just the Pac-12 insisting on having their refs on at all games, home and away. I mean, that's one thing that you hear the talks from some of the big boys, the big players in the Power 5 conferences. Say there's going to be some major shakeups. That's one I'd like to see them include. Just get college football refs. Conferences don't hire their own referees anymore. Get officiating crews hired by whoever the governing body is, and there's none of this, well, you bring your refs, we bring ours, and that body, if it's still the NCAA, whatever it's called, provides refs for every game. They receive the same training from the same place, everybody nationwide. I don't understand why college football puts up with it. I mean, everybody from the big power conferences should stop scheduling them. Okay, you guys want to insist on having your refs at your games, so we're going to stop scheduling you to play you. See how long it lasts. Because the Pac-12 is the one that says, oh, well, our fans, they won't come and see if we're playing just little puny-woony teams like that should be junior colleges. So they tend to schedule better out-of-conference opponents. So if Wisconsin stops going to Arizona State over this referee issue, and everyone else does the same. Oklahoma had problems at Oregon several years ago. Now let's see how fast this Pac-12 officiating thing changes. Speaking of officials, I was wondering why there wasn't an official review of that muffed punt. I'm not saying it would have changed the call, but I thought it was close enough that it should have been reviewed by the booth. I mean, a play like that can totally change the game. And we're at home here. I mean, at least give us that. I'm not asking you to make a bogus overturn, but at least give us, kind of the home field advantage of reviewing that play. So, I mean, that's all I want to complain about, those issues. I want to get to what actually happened on the field and things. Oh, another kickoff return called back. This one the costliest of them all. And I haven't had the guts to go back and watch that play over and over to see if there really was a penalty or not. But all I know is if I'm Bronco, I'm replacing everybody on that kickoff return team except for Hine. Everybody on that team, I'm replacing. 3 games in a row, huge return wiped out because of a penalty. So, you replace everybody on that kickoff return team. Get guys on there who are going to do it right. And let Hine have his moments to shine. I mean, come on, the guy's a game breaker. Tyler Beck. Tyler Beck replacing Spencer Hadley on defense. Little deja vu. You'll know what I'm talking about if you read the 5 things to watch for. Tyler Beck led the team in tackles, which is what Spencer Hadley did 2 years ago when he had to replace Brandon Ogletree. When Ogletree was injured for the Texas game, well, not injured, but with a concussion for the Texas game, had to miss that game, Hadley stepped in, led the team in tackles. On a solid defensive effort for the night by everybody. And I really liked what I saw from Tyler Beck. He wasn't just making tackles, he was making them all over the field, in the backfield, 2 tackles for loss. And played well. I liked what I saw. I mean, that was really satisfying to see. That once he got a chance to really play and shine, he took advantage of it and played well. I think we'll be pretty okay for these next few games without Hadley. J.D. Falslev. He was another guy that I really liked the way he played. And I've never been a super J.D. Falslev fan. I think he's done lots of nice things over the years to contribute, and I really liked what I saw from him Saturday. I saw a lot of passion. It looked like he really wanted to win. Every time he caught that ball, he got some big first downs, and he was playing his heart out. I don't know if it's just because he's so short, if that somehow had something to do with it. It's just, but I really saw someone, and he had that huge punt return, 58-yard punt return, which, if you read the Did You Know from last week, you will automatically know the 58-yard punt return is the longest punt return by any BYU player known in the BYU-Utah rivalry. Before that, it was O'Neal Chambers' 43-yard punt return in 2009 was the longest known punt return by a BYU player. Well, Falslev, he just tacked 15 yards onto that. So, big props to Falslev for the way he played. Oh, now to the passing game. Oh, wait, let me give out a couple other little props. Brett Thompson, he's starting to emerge a little. He had some big catches. Mitch Matthews, he had a pretty good game too. So we had a little bit more help than just Cody Hoffman in the passing game. That's a positive. But yeah, leading into the passing game, speaking of the passing game as a whole, oh gosh, it's frustrating, very upsetting. This is BYU. This is BYU football. We throw the ball. I still have faith in Taysom. And let's just remember, Max Hall never had a good game against Utah. Throwing the ball, Max Hall never had a good game. Less than 50%, even less than 40% his senior year. And that was even with a strong running game with Harvey Unga. Utah's just kind of had that ability to do that the last few years. And so, I mean, it's just been that way. So, it's kind of a Utah thing, I think. I still think the offensive line has a good part to do with the passing game problems. And I'd like to see better pass protection from the offensive line. Oh, a couple other thoughts here I got. Defense played pretty well, but there were a couple big plays. Those big plays were killer. The 65-yard run helped them get out of a hole down near the goal line. Got them in scoring position. They kicked a field goal. Then that 74-yard pass right before halftime resulted in a touchdown. I mean, that's 10 points. 10 points right there. Without those 10 points, I mean, this is a 13-10 win. Okay. But the defense, yeah, 1 out of 14 on third downs. Utah only converted 1 of 14 third downs. Now that's just incredible. That is an incredible third down defense. And so it's quite a shame to see that we lost, even with Utah not being able to convert first downs like that. Yeah, now a lot of people, the Fire Bronco talk will come up. What I want to say about that, if you remember, my big problem with Bronco was that the turnovers were still a problem. So many turnovers in big games. BYU had just one turnover. Just one turnover in the game yesterday. So, I mean, There are some changes. You see some differences there, but it was still a loss. So, but again, I don't know. I don't think that the Fire Bronco talk should get all that cranked up. There actually is a bigger problem than turnovers, and that's the biggest problem BYU's had against Utah has not been turnovers, it's been finishing drives. If we can finish our drives, get touchdowns, not field goals, then we would have won on Saturday. We would have won in 2010. And this whole series, this whole rivalry would be different if over the last decade and a half we had been able to finish drives. We would have won convincingly in many other games, and Utah just wouldn't have as much confidence against us as they would. We would have some big wins instead of these last-second nail biters, and Utah's confidence against us wouldn't be so big. And so I think that's a huge area of emphasis, that we need to finish drives, especially against Utah. Get touchdowns, not field goals. And we've still been able to pull out wins in some of these games where it almost haunted us. 2007, 2000, we won those years, even though we had to settle for field goals. But imagine if instead of winning by a touchdown in those games, we won by 3 touchdowns. And Utah, instead of saying, oh man, they got that lucky play to win, they said, man, we just couldn't hang with them. They were a lot better than us. And there'd just be a whole different feeling, as soon as we get up by a couple scores, as soon as we punch in 2 touchdowns, they would understand, well, wow, their offense is pretty good this year. I don't think we can stop them, and I don't know if we can stop them well enough to win. And then as the game goes on and they keep trailing, they don't put up as much of a fight, and they fold. So those are my thoughts on the game. Terrible, sad game. Thankfully, we get to come back a day quicker than normal with the Friday game this week, and hopefully things are different. Thanks for listening. Go Cougars.